Microcampus is an opportunity for kids to explore the world outside of Shanghai. And using this opportunity, I have visited Shizhou and decided to learn about wood carving. Wood carving is a form of working wood by the means of a cutting tool to make a superb art. The process of deciding what kind of wood carving to make requires one to consider the style of the piece, the design of the piece, and the technique used to make the piece. And I learned this from my wood carving master, Mr. Bobo. The next few carvings that you'll see are made by him. Mr. Bobo taught me about the styles of wood carving, and that if the carvings will be appropriate for the person, deciding on that if they're a beginner. I was a beginner, of course, so then I made a spoon. The spoon has many techniques, and then I would practice using these techniques to make a better sculpture. Chinese carvings. He also taught me about the Chinese carvings. Chinese carvings cut seem to be short and choppy, whereas the Western carvings are smooth and have long strides. The Chinese wood carvings have layers and also have stories behind it. Chinese wood carvings smooth their carvings out with sandpaper, and also Chinese wood carvings have the short and choppy slices because they use a hammer, where when Western carvers they use their hands to make long and smooth strides. Talking about Western carvings, I asked Mr. Bobo that if there were any kind of carvings in the western part of the world that would be similar to the Chinese carvings, and surprisingly he told me that the Russian carvings were rather familiar. The design of a carving is very important since it decides the outcome of the wood. The design is not always up to the carver, it is up to their skills. If you make a sculpture when you are a beginner, then it will be hard to make one. But if you make a spoon, then it will be easy. And then you could practice the skills that you use on the spoon to make a sculpture faster. In the making of a spoon, you will use all kinds of tools and skills. You would use power to make it smooth and not break it, and you would use your mind to know how you want the spoon to be. And if the spoon is for a baby, then it would have to be small. But if it's for a hungry person, then it will have to be big. How would you want the handle be? Would you want it to be soft and thin, so for small people with small hands, or would you want to be big? The design of the carving is aimed at the buyers and their needs, and if it would be appropriate. Most Chinese carving designs are from religious beliefs, like Buddhas or bracelets. The technique is very important since it decides on how good the carving will be. A big part of technique is attitude, to never give up, and always have an open mind to new ideas. If you give up halfway on something, then you'll never be good at it. If you have an open mind and an optimistic mind about new ideas, and thinking that everything will be okay, then you will try new skills and tools. Using the new skills, you could create a better carving. Tools are a big part of technique too. There are chisels, hammers, machetes, and sandpaper. The chisel is the main tool that is used in the carving. The chisel can do what a machete does, only slower. A chisel can also smooth out the surface and make small details. The machete is used to chop the branches and skin the wood, and the hammer is used for the chisel. If you hammer the chisel, then you will have more power. Talking about power, when you push on the carving, it will move. So you'll have to find something that is the right height for you to rest your carving on, so it would not move. When carving, if you want more power, then you would always want to point the other side of the carving up. I will explain that in the next video. When you are carving, you would want to look at the pattern, and you would also want to follow the pattern, because if you go the other way, you could chip it or break it. And also about the pointing the other side up. So if I was to carve this side, then I would point the other way up. So that when I carve it, I would have to push up. If I put the other side down, then when I carve it, it would just slide. So there would be less power on. Right here I have the spoon that I made. And here you can see the pattern. So I carved it this way, so that you can see the pattern that it's going this way. So I carved it that way so that I wouldn't chip the spoon. And I carved the other side that way so that I wouldn't chip it. So here in the middle, there's a little bump. And also here, there's a line that goes from here to there. And both of them intersect here, so there's a little bump here too.
was scared of dentists and the dark. I was scared of pretty girls and starting conversations. All my friends are turning green. Yeah, the magician's assistant in their dream. Down to the riptide, taken away to the dark side. I wanna be your left-hand man. I love you when you're singing that song.